There's a lot of noise going on in this house, and there's like police sirens. I'm sorry. So I've been working on a video, the script for a video, um, and now the dogs are barking. I'm so sorry. I've been working on a video for a good while now. This whole week I've been trying to script it. It's not ready yet, and that's what I had planned to release for today, but it's going to take me a little longer, but I'm pretty sure by the weekend it should be out, so your patience is truly appreciated. But in the meantime, I received some mail this week, some books that I had ordered, amongst which I ordered a book which was recommended to me on the internet, supposedly a very disturbing book, given that that's been kind of my thing on this channel. So I, purchased it on a whim, and it arrived yesterday. I opened it up and I read it. I sat down to read it, and then before I knew it, I had finished it. And it was unlike anything I have ever read in the past. And so I want to make this video to talk about what just happened. As you probably already can tell by the title of the video and everything, I'm talking about The Sluts by Dennis Cooper. Dennis Cooper is a notorious, famous author of transgressive fiction. I think he's mostly known for his George Miles cycle, I believe it's called, a series of 5 novels in which he explores ultra-violent, hypersexual themes centering around snippets of a guy that he used to know and hook up with. But this is Sluts. This is a standalone novel. This was published in 2004, and that leads me to believe that it was probably written sometime in 2001 or 2 or 3, I don't know. This deals primarily with forum posts on the internet, centering around the hiring and reviewing of gay escorts. Now, for those of you who are younger, and I'm not old enough by any means to really remember the internet as it used to be, but I was there for a little while. Basically, before the advent of social media, the internet used to exist as these sort of nomadic forums, randomly spread out clusters of people who would get together on a website and discuss a certain topic. You had forums for bodybuilding, you had forums for films. I believe Goodreads came about around this time as well. And of course, you had forums for gay people to discuss and review and, bring up certain topics that even back then, I'm pretty sure a lot of gay people did not feel comfortable discussing openly anywhere else. It was probably true that for a while the internet existed as the only outlet for a lot of these discussions to be had. And of course, that's where a lot of human interaction sort of starts to devolve into what it is now. Now, I'm pretty sure that Dennis Cooper, the author of this book, was maybe a user or simply an observer of forums of this kind. And like I told you, this is before social media, the interactions of social media that we know today. I feel like he truly must have taken a look at that, and he must have thought to himself, this is going to be a shit show years from now. And he was right. So first and foremost, I think The Sluts is a prophetic and visionary work of the de-evolution of human interaction as we know it today. So what is this book about? This book is written in a very interesting style, which sort of reminds me of styles that have been undertaken by books like Night Film, or even some segments of A Head Full of Ghosts. Basically, the entirety of the book is written as if you are perusing the forum posts that people are leaving behind, in which they review and they rate escorts that they hire. And then there's other things like emails, faxes, personal ads on the newspaper, and you know, it's written entirely like that. There's no sort of framing narrative bringing these pieces together. That is all you get. So basically it starts off with a random review left by somebody on an escort named Brad. Now Brad is described as this cute, thin, conventionally attractive white guy, or twink as they are known in the gay scene. And the review basically states, this guy is fantastic. The night that I spent with him was unbelievable. And then sort of more reviews start coming in about this same guy. Like, it's around the LA and San Diego area, basically. All the people leaving these reviews are from the same region, and they're all basically saying the same thing. Brad is amazing. Brad is the best escort you can hire. Highly recommend. He is a little weird, but don't let that fool you, etc. Basically, a lot of older men who are hiring this young looking guy who they say, he says he's 18, but there's no way to verify that, but who cares? So obviously lots and lots of pedophilic fantasies, which is already very disturbing on its own, but it gets a lot worse. Basically everything escalates to Brad being this sort of legend among the gay community of California, and people are sort of obsessively starting to track his every movement. Once they learn that he's making a move up to Portland, everybody's sort of saying, where's Brad? Do y'all remember Brad? He used to be an escort that was reviewed here. What became of him? Eventually, there's some information posted by a guy named Brian, and Brian is saying that he has kidnapped Brad, or he has made Brad fall in love with him, and he has him captive in his home, and he is eventually plotting to kill him for sexual gratification. Now, this evolves into, or rather explodes into, 5 or 6 different narratives about what's really happening with Brad, who Brad is Brad even real? You have a lot of conflicting statements, I guess very similar to like that entire sort of Rashomon he said she said scenario, where people are saying, well, Brad is real, but actually he's just a straight guy who used to hustle for a while and now he lives in Portland. And some people are saying, no, actually Brad is still being held captive by this Brian guy and he is in danger and he needs our help. Some other people are saying, yes, Brad was held captive, but he was murdered like years ago, etc., etc., etc. Now, I read this in one sitting, like I said, and that's because I could not believe how readable this was. I mean, I think it's sort of the conditioning that a lot of people, primarily like around my age, have sort of worked themselves into, where reading is mostly an activity that you undertake when, perusing the internet. And this very much reads like, those kinds of forum posts that I'm sure we all read, or, those long Twitter threads of today, that kind of thing. So for those reasons, I think in terms of readability, it reads very easily. I'm not sure how easily it read back when it was published, but that's why I'm saying this is kind of very much a visionary take on the internet, because it's very pertinent to things and, issues that we struggle with today, which I'm going to get into later. Basically, the obsession that the people leaving reviews, and of course we as readers, undertake is, who is Brad? What is the mystery behind it? Is there murder involved? Is any of the things that people are saying in the forum true? It truly was such a sort of sickening and dizzying effect to have so many voices telling a story and have no way of telling which one we can trust, or if we can trust any of them at all. I think for the most part, what I was also fascinated by was the idea that Dennis Cooper is creating a world before us, unfurling a world that most of us are not used to or even ever really interacted with in any way, but he does so believably. And I think that's what's scariest about the book, is that this book is replete with depravity and just twistedness of the lowest kind. And yet I can't really say I read anything in this book that was really out of the realm of reality. I mean, look, if you're my age, like, mid to late 20s, you were probably on the internet back when people were sharing things like two girls, one cup for fun. That's what we called fun. We grew up in a very sort of desensitized manner thanks to the internet. And I think that that's what makes this so fascinating, is that is the kind of reading that people my age are sort of used to. And it really speaks to that. And I don't know, that just unsettled me in a very personal way, and in a way that I don't think many books have managed to do. More than this, I think that this book explores themes of the search for fame, which I found particularly unsettling as well. Basically, in the midst of all these posts, there emerges a character named Zach Young. Zach Young, admittedly, from the moment he steps into the stage, he's impersonating a journalist who's merely writing a piece on the whole Brad murder mystery. But eventually he comes out and says that he's just been this guy who's been obsessed with the story of Brad for so long, and his deepest wish is to be able to meet Brad and have Brad and sell Brad out to everybody else, to exploit him, to damage him, to eventually murder him. And this guy is doing that because, as he says, he's craving that fame. He's craving that notoriety. He's basically craving this newfound attention that people are now, in these years of 2001, 2002, realizing the internet can provide in ways that it couldn't be provided before. One of the things that the book reminded me of most was a similar sort of news story that was emerging at the time with, some of you may know, Michael Alec and the Club Kids, which was actually portrayed in a film starring Macaulay Culkin called Party Monster, which, if you haven't seen it and you're interested in this kind of thing, don't let the critics fool you. I think it's a really, really good movie, so you should watch that. But basically, Michael Alec was part of this community of what were called Club Kids, which was a party scene in New York City primarily, in which young gay guys would sort of dress up in extremely eccentric, campy costumes, and they would go party at a club somewhere, at a rave, and it was all about how much attention you could draw to yourself. It was about, stunning everybody else with your costume, with your attitude, with the mystique and allure that you were able to put out. Eventually, of course, in a scene like this, drugs got involved in a very real way. And Michael Alec, who was one of the people participating in this Club Kid scene, he eventually murdered a fellow club kid and drug dealer named Angel Hernandez. And he, along with his roommate, murdered this guy, dismembered his body, and got rid of it. More so than just keeping quiet and not telling a soul about it, everybody who was around Michael Alec during this time as fellow club kids or part of the scene said that Michael Alec on various occasions bragged about the incident and seemed to revel in the glory and attention that he was receiving because he had murdered this guy. Another incident it reminded me of, and which I think Netflix released a documentary on, was the serial killer Luca Magnotta, who was basically this guy who was a former adult film star who, seeking fame and notoriety, sent out a post on some forums on the internet advertising a snuff film in which he was going to be murdering a guy, and which he eventually followed up on. He ended up murdering a Chinese foreigner in Canada, and highly publicizing his doings to the public and not being shy, in fact reveling, again like Michael Alec, in all of the attention and fame that he was receiving, however twisted the source of it was. I think it's those instances of very real obsession with fame and recognition that are at the soul of the sluts. And it really kind of unsettles me, because it raises the question of, how much the internet has, opened up the gateway for fame and notoriety to be able to, be easily served to anybody. And we don't really ever stop to recognize the deep psychological effect that can have on the public at large. It's great to have this platform and this audience with whom to speak to and engage, and they can have conversations with me about books that they like, etc. It's great. But I would be lying if I told you that the thought has never crossed my mind. And it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but if we're gonna be, evaluating these very honest talking points that are present in this book, I have to be honest with myself as well. I would be lying if I said I had never thought, what if I make it? What if I go viral? What if my videos start to get thousands of views? What if people, start to subscribe by droves and I get thousands or millions of subscribers? Even though millions of subscribers are not numbers for any booktubers, but what if, and that kind of small snippet modicum of fame is really mind-bending in some ways. I mean, when I got up to 200 subscribers, 200 subscribers for me are a lot, because I thought I would maybe get like 2 or 3. But just the idea that so many people want to hear me talk, etc. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I'm really grateful for it. But if we're using a different kind of perspective, I mean, if you compare me to like, I don't know, PewDiePie or all these, ferocious beauty gurus, 200 versus millions of subscribers doesn't compare. I'm perfectly okay with that. But what I'm sort of trying to get at is that even with 200 subscribers, in my mind, sometimes I'm sort of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to make it. I'm going to break out. I'm going to enter stardom. Like I said, it's very embarrassing to admit, but it's true. I mean, even this small snippet of recognition, I can totally see it warping somebody's mind. I mean, if I didn't have a support system of acquaintances or a pretty okay footing on reality and, other prospects for careers or what have you in the future, I could definitely see YouTube and social media completely warping my mind. And, like I said, there's been all this drama, all the drama channels, right? All the constant Twitter discussions about, the crucifixion and tearing apart of a particular person. And you start to really wonder, who are all these people really commentating on things like this? And why do we love casting stones so much every which way? I mean, I've met, some people that constantly comment on my videos. There's some names that are starting to become familiar because they always come to my videos, leave a comment, watch what I have to say. It's wonderful, and I thank every one of you. But, everything that's been said on my channel has been pretty nice and supportive and positive in every way. But that's the bottom line. I don't really actually know any of you, and none of you, besides the people that I know from real life who watch my channel, none of you really know me. What if I'm lying? What if I haven't even read any of these books in actuality? What if I'm just, reading somebody else's words and passing them off as mine? You don't know. That's what the Sluts is about. And these newfound creative ways of farce, of artifice, of, virtual anonymity on the internet, of sensationalization of facts. These are all such pressing issues today, and they are so prevalent, and they are not going away. In fact, they seem to be getting worse. And Dennis Cooper was writing about them, and in a sense, warning us about them almost 20 years ago. That is what I found most fascinating about this book. And that is why I wholly recommend it to all of you. Also, because I know that most of you are into disturbing literature, because that's where most of my subscribers seem to be coming from. This will definitely do it for you, but this will also definitely make you think about the subject of the very place where you are watching me, you know? There's a lot in here, a fair content warning that I'm issuing out to all of you. Sexual violence, sexual assault, murder, torture, explicit, very detailed torture. It's all in here. And then there's more that I'm not talking about. And also, on kind of like a last note, this book was actually very humorous at some points. To give you an example, there's amidst all the drama of Brad, who's Brad and what's happening to him, there's some constant posts by another user sort of interjecting all the time and encouraging people to join his new forum. And his new forum is dedicated to everybody voicing out their depraved fantasies about raping and murdering Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. Like, you know, the butt of the joke, of course, is not sexual assault and murder. It's not a rape joke in that sense. It's just sort of like amongst the ornateness and depth of the truly depraved world that Dennis Cooper has created. There's some moments like that where it's just the ultimate absurdity and ridiculousness of what could happen in a forum like this. That's where the humor comes from. And I don't know if maybe I was just laughing because I was having some kind of, euphoric reaction to everything that I was reading about. But I thought some passages were very funny. But, it's never in this kind of like self-parodying way. I feel like Dennis Cooper is very serious about the world that he's portraying. And he's never really telling you to laugh at the world. If anything, you laugh with it. But it's that sort of nervous, in a sense, deeply scared sort of laughter. I think The Sluts was phenomenal. Like I said, I read it in one day. I was truly fascinated by everything I was reading about. At the end of it, I thought the end was very satisfying, but only if you're sort of in tune as you read it with the kind of farce and absurdity that Dennis Cooper is trying to portray. I would recommend this. I would give this an absolute 10 out of 10. That's what's compelled me to like sort of release a video talking about it. And if anyone else has read it, I would be very interested in discussing it with you in some ways. Sort of going against what I just talked about the dangers of social media and creating artifice of yourself and living in this, constructed anonymity, etc. But I will be linking my social media in the description of this video. I figured that's probably an easier way to have conversations about books with anyone that's interested. Like I said, YouTube's been deleting some of the comments you've been leaving. I don't know. I'm sort of tired of trying to look for them or trying to find out why it's happening. I figured YouTube just likes censoring things, which is fine. It's their platform, but, maybe I'll have to turn to other ways if I really want to have meaningful discussions with you guys. So follow me on Instagram, which I'll be linking below if you're interested in talking about it. I recommend this book wholeheartedly. I've never read anything like it. Like I said, I'm finishing up another scripted video that's probably going to come out on the weekend, so stay tuned for that. Sorry about this kind of rushed and sort of more laid back video, but I figured I wanted to give you guys something before the week is up. So thank you for watching, and you'll be definitely seeing me sometime later in the week.